Hello students, it's Mrs. Cinti here, and I would like to talk to you guys about system interaction. So we're still in chapter 1 of the human body. This is section 1.2. We talked a little bit about systems in the last section, and now I'd like to continue to talk to you about it now, and how the different systems interact with each other. In class we talked about a little overview, and now it's time for us to move into, so these are the topics that we talked about. What is the goal of the human systems? The goal of the section, sorry. So we had said the answer to this was, another name for the skeletal system is the skeleton, right? What is it made up of? It's made out of bones and joints, if you will, but bones is what we probably wrote down. With what other systems does it work with to produce movement? So how do the bones themselves move? They don't move by themselves, right? So what works with them? And one thing is the muscular system. And then the other one actually is the nervous system, telling you to move your arm over here, right? So you need a little bit of your brain to pull some shots there. And then how do muscles move the bones? We talked about how they contract and relax. So the bones contract, pulling the bone towards it in one direction, and then relaxing, putting the bone back. And what is the role of the nervous system? We said that it is to tell the bones and muscles to move. Okay. I think that it is prudent for us to talk, to just make a list of all of the systems. We're going to go through most of these in more detail, but because we're talking about how the systems in this section, we're talking about how the systems interact with each other, it's kind of important for us to know a little bit more about them. So these are the different systems, something for you to write down, and we'll define some of them now, and then there are some that we still don't need to define at all. So go ahead and write that down. Okay. How do we move? So let's move into our notes, right? So we talked about how we move. We said during class and just now, I guess, that the skeleton works with the bones. If you'll look here, the skeleton, oops, oh gosh, I always do that, sorry. The skeleton works with the muscle system, okay, which works with the nervous system, as we said. As this dancer's muscles, okay, pull on his, it was a different diagram, sorry, but her leg bones, he can make movement. So this back thigh muscle will contract, pulling the leg in at the knee. Isn't that cool? So this hamstring right there is going to pull in and pull that leg, and then it will relax, and then the leg will, or the front thigh, the quad right there, will contract, pulling the leg back this way, okay? So when a muscle contracts, this is kind of the cool part. When a muscle contracts, it shortens and pulls the bone it is attached to towards it. And when it relaxes, the muscle will lengthen, and it will release the bone back into the original position. So bones and joints, we said, are what kind of allow the skeletal system to bend, is the joints. Okay, and so a joint is where the skeletal system bends. I just said 1 second ago, sorry. A little late at night right now. And so I challenge you to think of 6 places when you're standing upright like this. So let's say you're standing in this position. Where are 6 places or joints that the skeletal system will be bending? Okay, and let's list some of these just to make it a little bit more real of what's happening. So we are definitely bending at the waist. Okay, so the spine or waist is going to be bending right here. The spine itself is not. The hips are going to open up a little bit, right? So the hip is going to bend. If you're like me, your knees are going to bend because I can't touch my toes without bending my knees. Shoulders have moved between, I'm spelling that wrong. The neck has moved. The arms have moved. Maybe as you're coming down, I guess, your elbows could move. Your wrists, your hands, your wrists, I would say. Your fingers probably have bent too. And I don't know, you can keep listing them, but those are all examples of joints, and that's why that was a fun exercise, frankly, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, which systems, okay, move materials in your body? Okay, so we have a major need for materials to be moved in our body. Okay, we have waste products, we have, and then we need to kind of feed our cells. We need to feed our body. And so how do we get those nutrients from one place to another? Okay, so in general, okay, your 100 trillion cells, okay, function by being fed. I'm going to put quotation marks around that because they are actually being fed. I say, just because I have babies, you know, and change, meaning get rid of the waste materials. Okay, so 100 trillion, they're going to function by being fed, and then also we have to get rid of the waste. Unless the waste accumulates, and the cell no longer can function. Okay, so materials that are necessary to put into cells, that cells must have in order to function, are oxygen, oxygen, okay, which we'll kindly say is O2, water, okay, and then also food, okay, and we will, you know, talk more about what that food is later. What materials must the cell get rid of? Okay, if it's taking in oxygen, you know that it is going to, I'll change the color because this is hurting my eyes a little bit. I can't imagine yours. So it has to get rid of CO2. Okay, if it's breathing in oxygen, it has to get rid of CO2. And then we'll just say it also has to get rid of other cell waste. Okay, and, you know, who knows if it's a, whatever, white blood cell, I was going to say it has to get rid of. Okay, what systems of the body move materials to and from the cell? Okay, hopefully you're thinking about blood, right? Blood is a big that's the whole purpose of it, is to transport things from one place to another. So that would be your circulatory system. Another one, how do you get that oxygen in there, right? So that's got to be your breathing or your respiratory system. Okay, talk about getting food in there. That's got to be your digestive system. That's getting food in. It's also helping get rid of food. But here we go to our excretory system. That's excreting the materials, right? So pretty impressive right there. How much has to go on in order for just one little cell to be working, not even mentioning the 100 trillion cells that need to function at that point. So looking at an image from your textbook that I like very much, this one right here, is showing you a little bit about what things need to go in, what things need to go out. So please note that these are cells. Each of these guys is a cell, right? And then this is your blood vessels, right, that are encircling, as you can tell, every single cell here. The whole reason why they're encircling every single cell is because every single cell needs to get those nutrients, all the food, it needs to get that carbon dioxide, it needs to get rid of the carbon dioxide, it needs everything. So all the cells need to have access to this kind of highway to get you there. So, so something that is coming from the cells and being put into the bloodstream would be what it needs to get rid of. So carbon dioxide would be being put in here. Also, cell waste is going to be coming from the cells and being put back in the bloodstream, so it can be filtered out. What is coming from this highway of goodness going to the cells would be the oxygen. It would be the food or / nutrients that it needs in order to survive. We're going to define nutrients in a moment. And then also water. Okay, so that is one of the diagrams that I just thought was so cool because it really showed how each one of these cells depends on this highway in there. Okay, so now let's look at blood. So sorry if you're a little queasy on this one. If you look at your wrist right now, okay, if you look at your wrist right now, you will see that there are pinkish veins in here and arteries, and there are also blue ones. Okay, so if you look, you should see mine. I absolutely have extremely clear, I don't think you can see it, but I have extremely clear, you can see right through my skin. As it turns out, there's a major misconception that, and all the pictures show it too, that there's red blood vessels and then there's blue ones. And a major misconception is that the blue ones are the ones that are deoxygenated. So there's no oxygen in there, okay? Oxygenated. As it turns out, these are the two colors of the blood that you will see in if you were to open someone up and just check out their blood. Okay, these are the two colors that you're even seeing underneath your skin right now. Even though it looks bluish, it's really this dark red color. Okay, and the dark red color is the color of the blood that doesn't have oxygen in it, and it is carrying the waste. So it's the one that's coming away from your cells and going to your digestive and excretory system. Okay. The bright red, beautiful color right here, the very Christmassy color, even though if you can believe it, this is blood right here. This is the nicely, it has a whole bunch of yummy oxygen in it. It's holding a lot of very little waste. It's holding nutrients in there. It's pretty impressive stuff, okay? The reason why, and this is what's so cool, the reason why this looks blue, the very dark red looks blue, is because our skin has a yellow tint on top of it. And as you know, yellow and red make blue, which is not the case. It's yellow and green make blue, but whatever, it has that purple tint. That's kind of funny. I just made it up. Don't tell your art teacher, please. But that's it. But the reason why, that's awesome. Anyways, the reason why it looks bluish is because it's covered by a layer of yellow on top. Okay, so we looked at, in the last slide, we were looking at how the veins and arteries right there were surrounding every single cell, right? They had access to almost every cell on there. A cool fact is that your circulatory system is so intense. It's so much, it's so branched out there that if you were to actually line it all up, it would wrap around the earth 2 whole times. That's how many little capillaries and veins you have in there. Pretty impressive, I've got to say. Okay, moving right along. Okay, you breathe 20,000 times a day on average. And frankly, I bet you think about your breathing maybe once a day. Okay, maybe if you're exercising pretty vigorously, then maybe you're thinking about it a little bit more. So what's coming into play? What are the systems that are working to help you breathe every day? Okay, I have to say the muscles, okay, the muscular system causes your chest to expand and compress. So breathe in, breathe out, your chest is expanding and it is compressing. It expands to open it up to let air move in, and then it compresses to force air out of your lungs, in and out, okay? So the two systems that work together is the whole reason why you're breathing in is because you need the oxygen to come in, and then you need the carbon dioxide to leave. And so that oxygen, as we just saw, goes into your blood system, the circulatory system. So those are kind of the two systems that are working together to move gases throughout your body. Okay, so let's go ahead and fill in this, okay? You breathe in, air moves into the good old lungs, okay? That would be the respiratory system. Oxygen moves into the blood stream, or just the blood. Oxygen is then delivered to the cells. And then what moves from the cells into the bloodstream? Good old carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide moves into the lungs and leaves the body. Okay, so that's breathing. That's kind of the network of oxygen, carbon dioxide, and the muscles, okay? The musculatory system, the respiratory system, and the circulatory system are all working together in that one breathing action. Okay, so again, very smooth movements and working together. It's good teamwork. Okay. So just some vocabulary for you here. Food, nutrients, I've been using interchangeably. Substance you get from food that your body needs to carry out processes is known as nutrients, are known as nutrients. Okay, so the stuff that your body needs are nutrients. Okay, when nutrients move from the digestive system to the circulatory system, so here is the big long starch molecule. It has lots of monosaccharides on there. These are the monosaccharides that your body can use in order to gain energy. And so it needs to go into the circulatory system. And so this is your intestinal wall. So here's the food inside your intestine. It's absorbed through these little guys that we'll be talking about in the future. And it goes into the bloodstream and it moves to the cells that need it. This process is called absorption. Okay, absorption. So another vocabulary word, absorption. And then talking about what are some of those foods and nutrients. Okay, oxygen and glucose. This is supposed to be oxygen and glucose in the cell make the energy necessary to power almost all of your body processes. Okay, that's why your muscles need oxygen and why we breathe harder when we're running or when we're working hard. Okay, and that's why we need food as well. So if you're working hard, you usually get more hungry. Okay, so so these are the two nutrients that your body really needs. There's lots of other vitamins and minerals that you also need, but in general, those are the ones. Okay, and then just to close it out real quick, all of your bodily functions, okay, all of your bodily functions are controlled mostly by the nervous system and the endocrine system, okay? The nervous system is kind of powered and gets its information from the five senses, okay? The five senses send signals. So five senses, you know, smell, taste, touch, sight, and sound. There we go. The five senses send signals. Okay, they send signals to the nervous system, and then there is a stimulus and response. Okay, so the stimulus occurs, and then your body responds in such a way, and so it needs the nervous system to have that response. So a stimulus is a signal from the environment. Okay, and then the response involves other systems. So it moves, so the nervous system then calls on your musculature system to respond to the lion that's chasing after you, to make you run. Okay, so it involves other systems, and those other systems are certainly going to be your respiratory system to make you breathe harder, that so you are then pumping energy into those muscles, which are all of a sudden moving. So, so the response is kind of a measured response. How is your body going to handle that stimulus that is just absorbed, that's just observed or sensed? The endocrine system, okay, is the other part of what's controlling what's going on in your body. It's the chemical signals. It's basically a whole bunch of glands. Okay, the endocrine system is made up of the pituitary gland, the thyroid gland, adrenal, pancreas, ovary, testicles, testes. This is where hormones are produced, and that's what tells your body to function the way that it does, or to act the way that it does. Okay, so the endocrine system releases hormones through these glands into the circulatory system, and it affects how your body then functions. Okay, that would be the end of section 1.2. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I will be seeing you soon.